Bylaws. Let's get to the bylaws, because this is one that as a board you guys probably will reference quite frequently, because the bylaws are your playbook as a board. So the bylaws are going to say how many board members you're supposed to have, what the officer positions are and their roles. It's going to talk about you have to have an annual meeting, you have to have board meetings. This is what the quorum is for those meetings. It'll also outline what powers the board has, like to create rules, to create assessments, to regulate common area, right? The powers of the board. It might also outline the notice requirements that you have for your meetings. So that's your day-to-day, this is how the association is governed, right? The bylaws are typically not filed with any entity. They're not filed with the state or with the county or with the city. There was a period in the 80s where developers were filing the declaration and the bylaws with the county. I don't know why they were, but they did. But most of the time, bylaws are not filed, and they're a lot easier typically to amend. Most of the time, your bylaws to amend them are going to require a majority vote by those in attendance at a meeting. So usually it's that, and that's an important distinction, right? Because we said the declarations, it was 67 or 76% of the membership. But for the bylaws, it's at a meeting. So, you know, a lot of associations only have a 10 or a 20% quorum requirement. So if you got a 100 member association and you have a 10% quorum, you have people show up to a meeting where you're proposing bylaw changes, technically you need 6 people, right? Like if 10 people show up, you've got quorum, you only need 6 of the 100 people to change your bylaws. But that's okay, because really the bylaws don't usually infringe on rights of homeowners, because that's the declaration's job. Usually the bylaws just talks about that governance and how it's operated. So usually it's not an issue, but they're usually a lot easier to change and to amend.